In the quiet of an ancient land, before the roar of modern machinery and the hum of digital data, humanity stood face to face with an intricate challenge: survival. In those early days, humans had no more than rudimentary tools and knowledge, but instinct led them to observe nature, and nature whispered secrets of growth, multiplication, and the delicate balance of life. Among those first whispers was the lesson of animal breeding. Imagine a time long before cities rose and before farms dotted the landscapes of fertile plains. Early humans, in their ever-curious search for sustenance, turned to the wild animals that roamed the earth. These creatures had long been part of the rhythm of nature, their bloodlines flowing through generations in ways that humans had not yet fully understood. But it was through necessity that humanity began to listen. They realized that by guiding these creatures' mating habits, by selecting the strongest, the most resilient, and the most productive, they could change the course of history. This was the dawn of animal breeding, a practice that would ripple through time, evolving in complexity and significance. The first recorded instances of animal breeding date back thousands of years, during the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt. In these fertile lands, farmers began to selectively breed sheep for their wool, cattle for their milk and strength, and horses for their speed and agility. These early attempts were less about scientific understanding and more about trial, error, and the simple yet profound instinct to improve what they had. But it wasn't until the Romans, with their advanced agricultural knowledge, that the principles of breeding started to take a more organized form. In their grand estates, Roman farmers developed systematic approaches to breeding, selecting animals based not only on physical traits but on temperaments and behaviors that were suited to specific tasks, whether it was the agility of a horse for battle or the resilience of a goat for dairy production. As the Roman Empire expanded, so did the practice of selective breeding, spreading its influence across the known world. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and we find that breeding animals was no longer a craft practiced only by a select few. Entire villages and farming communities began to engage in the practice. However, this period was also one of great uncertainty. Agricultural techniques were often rudimentary, and many aspects of animal breeding were still shrouded in mystery. Farmers had limited knowledge of genetics, yet they instinctively understood that certain traits, passed down through generations, held value. This led to the establishment of the first written records of animal breeding practices, often passed down through family traditions and word of mouth. Then, in the 18th century, the world witnessed a dramatic shift in how breeding was understood. It was during this time that scientists like Gregor Mendel began to unravel the mysteries of inheritance and genetics. Mendel, with his work on pea plants, revealed the fundamental laws of heredity. This was the birth of modern genetics, the very foundation upon which animal breeding as we know it today would be built. The ability to understand and predict how traits were inherited opened up new possibilities. Farmers and breeders could now select for specific characteristics with far greater precision. The 19th and 20th centuries saw animal breeding become an essential part of global agricultural development. With the Industrial Revolution came advances in animal husbandry practices, allowing for greater control over breeding and the expansion of selective breeding programs. The development of dairy cattle breeds that could produce more milk, the breeding of pigs for leaner meat, and the development of more robust chickens for egg-laying were some of the early successes that would lay the foundation for today's highly efficient farming systems. The scientific revolution in genetics during the 20th century further fueled the progression of animal breeding, leading to innovations such as artificial insemination, embryo transfer, and genetic engineering, all of which revolutionized the way breeding was practiced.
As we move into the present day, animal breeding has become a sophisticated, highly controlled science. Modern breeders utilize a combination of genetics, biotechnology, and data analytics to optimize breeding programs. The goal now is not just to increase yield or improve physical traits, but to ensure the health, welfare, and sustainability of animals. Today, animal breeding plays a pivotal role in ensuring food security, providing high-quality protein sources for an ever-growing global population and preserving endangered species. As a field, it is intricately connected to larger issues like climate change, resource management, and biodiversity. Animal breeding, however, is not without its ethical complexities. As technology advances, it is critical to maintain a balance between innovation and ethical responsibility. In the world of animal breeding, questions arise. How far can we push the limits of genetic manipulation? Where do we draw the line between improvement and exploitation? And in an era where environmental sustainability is paramount, how can breeding practices evolve to reduce the carbon footprint of the agriculture industry? The importance of animal breeding today cannot be overstated. It is a field that impacts not only the food we eat, but the way we interact with the natural world. Its history, from its humble beginnings to its current high-tech applications, is a testament to humanity's ingenuity and resilience. But as we look to the future, we must ask ourselves not only how we can continue to improve breeding practices, but also how we can do so in a way that aligns with the values of sustainability, respect for life, and ethical responsibility. For those studying animal breeding today, it is more than just a lesson in science. It is an invitation to be part of an evolving legacy, one that has shaped civilizations past and will continue to shape the world for generations to come. Understanding animal breeding as a course is understanding the heart of agriculture, science, and ethics intertwined. As students and professionals in this field, the knowledge you gain will not only equip you for the challenges of today, but will also prepare you to contribute to the future of a world that depends on responsible and innovative approaches to the natural world. And so, the story of animal breeding continues, a testament to humanity's ongoing dialogue with nature, an unfolding saga of discovery, responsibility, and boundless potential. And you, as part of this narrative, are poised to make history. As we stand on the precipice of a new era, the lessons learned from centuries of animal breeding are more crucial than ever. With advancements in genetic engineering, CRISPR technology, and artificial intelligence, we are entering a time where breeding can be done with an unprecedented level of precision. The possibilities seem endless, but so too are the questions and dilemmas that come with this newfound power. The question of sustainability looms large. The planet is grappling with environmental challenges, climate change, dwindling natural resources, and loss of biodiversity, and the agriculture industry, including animal breeding, plays a central role in addressing these issues. Modern breeding has the potential to reduce the environmental footprint of livestock farming by creating more efficient, disease-resistant, and environmentally adapted breeds. For example, breeding animals that require less feed, water, and land while producing more output could significantly reduce the strain placed on our planet's resources. The ability to breed livestock that are more resilient to changing weather patterns, more heat-tolerant cattle, drought-resistant sheep, or pigs that thrive in varying climates, could prove to be a lifeline in the fight against climate-related food insecurity. Yet, with all this power comes an ethical responsibility. How far should we go in altering the genetics of an animal? Is there a limit to the extent of genetic manipulation we should allow? The line between natural selection and human-guided evolution is often blurred. As stewards of this knowledge, we must balance the drive for innovation with an unwavering commitment to the well-being of the animals we are breeding and the ecosystems in which they live. It is not just about producing more or better. It's about producing responsibly. This is where ethics intertwines with innovation. The debate surrounding animal welfare is at the heart of modern breeding practices. How do we ensure that animals bred for specific traits are not only healthy but also able to live fulfilling lives? The question extends beyond physical health to include mental and social well-being. For example, breeding dogs for desirable traits like a specific coat color or temperament has raised concerns about their physical health, with some breeds more prone to genetic disorders due to overzealous breeding for aesthetic qualities. The importance of ethical breeding extends to the very nature of our interactions with animals. For centuries, animals have been viewed primarily through the lens of utility, as tools for food, labor, or companionship. But as we evolve in our understanding, so too does our approach to breeding. It is becoming increasingly clear that we must view animals not only as products of the natural world, but as beings deserving of respect and empathy. The shift toward ethical breeding includes a commitment to reducing unnecessary suffering, preventing inbreeding, and ensuring that breeding practices are aligned with the holistic well-being of animals. For students of animal breeding today, this ethical dimension cannot be ignored. As professionals, you will be tasked with navigating this delicate balance. The courses and research that you engage with today will shape the breeding practices of tomorrow. You will be the ones who determine how the innovations of genetic editing and biotechnology are applied, ensuring that they are used in ways that promote the good of society, the animals, and the environment. It is not enough to be technically proficient. You must also be ethically aware and capable of making decisions that reflect the values of fairness, sustainability, and compassion. And then, there is the larger question of the global implications of animal breeding. As our world becomes more interconnected, the challenges of feeding an ever-growing population become more pronounced. With the global population expected to reach nearly 10 billion by 2050, the demand for food, particularly animal protein, will only increase. Animal breeding, in its modern form, holds the key to meeting this demand without further exacerbating the environmental crises we face. But it is a global challenge that requires international collaboration, responsible practices, and adherence to the principles of sustainability. In regions where food security is most at risk, animal breeding could be the game changer. In parts of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, selective breeding could help improve the productivity of local livestock, making them more adaptable to local climates, resistant to disease, and able to thrive on limited resources. The impact of this could be revolutionary, lifting entire communities out of poverty by enhancing their access to high-quality, affordable protein. However, as we push the boundaries of what is possible, we must ask ourselves how to ensure that these practices are accessible to all. The power of animal breeding should not be confined to the hands of the few, but should be democratized, ensuring that even the smallest farmer has access to the tools and knowledge to improve their herds and flocks. Education, policy reform, and international cooperation will play pivotal roles in ensuring that animal breeding is a force for good across the globe. This is where you, as students and future professionals, come in. The knowledge and understanding you gain today will be the foundation for a new era of animal breeding. It is up to you to determine how this powerful science will be applied. Will you use it to optimize production? Will you guide its applications to ensure that the practices are sustainable? Will you be the ethical leaders who champion the welfare of animals in the breeding process? The stakes are high, and the future is filled with both opportunity and responsibility. The journey of animal breeding is not just one of scientific achievement, it is a journey of deep moral reflection. The work you do will shape not just the food systems of tomorrow, but the very relationship between humanity and the creatures with whom we share this planet. And as this story continues to unfold, written with every breed that is introduced, every genetic marker that is mapped, and every ethical decision that is made, it becomes clear that animal breeding is not just an academic course, it is a living, breathing part of our shared human story. A story that spans thousands of years, and one that will continue to evolve with your contributions, ensuring that our relationship with animals remains rooted in respect, innovation, and care. So, I ask you, the reader, the student, the future professional, are you ready to become part of this monumental legacy? Are you prepared to take on the responsibility of advancing a practice that not only feeds the world but shapes its very future? The choice is yours, and the world is waiting for you to take the next step in this incredible journey. The history of animal breeding has been written, but the next chapter is yours to craft.